Alright, so hopefully you already watched my video, used car buying strategies. If you didn't, I'll put it somewhere up here. It probably will be right there, a little white bubble. I'd recommend that one if you haven't already seen that one. But let's get started with kind of what to look for and how to buy a used car. That one's more in depth of kind of the business aspect to it and what's more economical in buying a used car. And this one's going to be kind of what to physically look for and things to just consider. So let's get started. I'm going to kind of talk about the things and put pictures in that show what I'm talking about and maybe some videos over the voice. So first, kind of depends where you live. If you live in Michigan or somewhere where cars get real rusty and salty, you're going to want to listen to this part. If you don't, I'll put in the description where it starts when I stop talking about this, so where to skip to in the video. But if you live in Michigan or somewhere in the Rust Belt, what you want to look for is, just because a car looks perfect on the outside doesn't mean anything. And what I mean by that is like the rocker panels, the panels along the bottom of the car that a lot of times have plastic over them. Those are part of the structure on the unibody car, along with the pinch weld, which are right behind those. Depending on how the car is made up, don't roast me in the comments if your car is different or whatever, but generally, if you want like a crossover or a sedan, if you want a truck, it's a frame, it's in the cabs on it. The body's not part of the structure. But what you want to look out for is, just because the car looks nice and clean and oh, I'm looking at a car, it's not rusty, you think in your head, well, it actually might be, because those covers that are plastic, like my girlfriend's Aztek she had, there was nothing under those. I pulled those covers off because I was gonna coat the rockers in like Port 15 or Chassis Saver to kind of help it just until she got a new car. When I pulled those plastic covers off, there wasn't anything left. Just powder and chunks of metal fell out. And then digging deeper into that, the unibody, like rails and pinch welds under that car, you could just take a screwdriver and just jam a hole right up through them. So, and that car has all that plastic cladding on the bottom on an Aztek, so it looks clean and nice. I mean, not as nice as an Aztek's gonna look, I guess, from the outside. But if you got in a crash in that car, it'd just be a big ball of powder and rust. So you want to look for things like that. And say you're looking at a pickup truck, you want to spend a few grand, rockers are rusty or something, truck runs fine, who cares? I mean, especially in Michigan, it's gonna have rust. So, and like the Volkswagen Jetta my girlfriend got to replace that Aztek, the rockers on it are perfectly solid, the pinch welds. You can jack the car up by the rocker panel if you wanted to and change a tire. It's perfect. But the fenders have some surface rust on them. So it looks worse physically than the Aztek, but one's structurally sound, one's not. And that's what's important, because you can take a fender and sand down surface rust and have it painted, or buy a fender for $50 on Amazon and put it on there or whatever and have it painted. But you can't really go underneath the car by yourself and just patch together the rockers and the pinch welds and structural things. So you want to look for that, and I'll put some pictures right now of pinch welds and what I'm talking about. So moving on from that, so this is where you want to start the video, and I'll put this point in the description. If you don't live somewhere that's like Michigan where it's all rusty, if you live somewhere where it's really hot, you want to look if there's like a cover on the dashboard, like they'll put carpet on there or something. You want to make sure underneath dashboard's not cracked. You want to make sure the paint on the roof and the hood and all the little flat surfaces still has clear coat. And sometimes people will hide that by putting a bunch of wax on it, and it kind of acts as clear coat. So you want to go to like an auto parts store if you're taking it for a test drive real quick, if you're concerned about this, and get like bug and tar remover or wax remover or whatever, something like that, and make sure on those surfaces that it's not hidden. And with that being said, you also want to make sure other things aren't being hidden, like mechanical things. So you want to check the oil. If the oil looks brand new and the coolant looks brand new, it's kind of suspect sometimes that there could be a head gasket issue. But really, you want to just see kind of how you get a feel for the person, if they seem nervous, if they seem like they're kind of an upstanding person, and why they're selling the car. Another thing that's kind of key to look out for is look at like the little details, like are all the tires the same brand? Do all the tires have the same wear on them? You gotta think about these things. If they're skimping out on tires, which are a safety thing, what else are they skimping out on that's not a safety thing? Are they, if it's a front wheel drive car, the V6, did they only replace the front plugs? Did they say they replaced the timing belt, or did they? Or when they replaced the timing belt, did they replace the water pump? So going into parts being replaced, what you want to think about is, first, ask them if they did the work themselves. If they did, ask them where they got the parts. Just say they got them at AutoZone, Advance Auto, O'Reilly's, whatever. And that part on your car, when you buy it from them, breaks. You can then go into that Advance Auto, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, and you can give that person's name and give the old part, and they'll give you a new one if it's under warranty. Same with the battery. So if it's got a newer battery, you want to know all this stuff. Save you a lot of money. And if they took it to a dealer, if they don't have the receipts, generally you can go to the dealer with the VIN number, and get proof and receipts, and make sure they're not lying to you. And Google's going to be your friend here, because you're going to want to Google, like if you're looking at Audi A4, you're going to want to Google like the year and then Audi A4 maintenance schedule. You're going to want to ask them these things. Not all cars are like this, but German cars are great cars if you follow the maintenance schedule. If not, you're just inheriting someone else's money pit. So you want to look into all that. And I know people are real big on oil changes, and if they don't have the receipts for the oil changes or something like that, I wouldn't worry so much about that. I'd worry more about smaller things, like little details on the car, and the big maintenance things, like the little things, whatever. But if it's got like mismatched tires, or you really look at it in certain angles and one of the doors looks like it's a different color slightly or something, there might be a story that they're not telling you. And you want to look if the rims have a lot of curb rash on them, just stuff like that, that kind of give you an indication of how the person thought about the car and cared about it. And it's kind of a scary thing buying a used car, but you really just have to use your senses and think about how they are perceived by you as being an honest person or what. But you also want to check like little things, like people get kind of excited and make sure all the power windows work, make sure all the speakers work, take the radio and move the fader around the different speakers and make sure that all works. Go to an auto parts store. I know like at Advance Auto, and I think all of our competitors do, we do a free OBD2 scan. Have it scanned. Just because there's not a check engine light doesn't mean there's not something going on. You never know with things people can do with modern cars. And you just want to be cautious of that. You also want to take it, make sure there's not any, and this kind of applies more to Michigan, but make sure there's not any Bondo in like obvious spots. So you can take like a magnet with a rag over it and see if how the magnet's attraction to the metal changes. And really just use your discretion. Google that car and common problems with that car, and then ask them about those common problems. Like if the common problem is wheel bearings for that particular car, ask, have the wheel bearings been done? Listen to that growl or that hum when you're driving. Things that would tell you, okay, this needs a wheel bearing. And that's what you want to look out for. And if the common problem, like on Nissan Altimas, the common problem is rust under the floors. So you want to go, okay, let me take your car to a shop, have it inspected if you can't get under it easily. Or if the floor pans and say a Nissan Altima have been recently painted and they're shiny, nice paint, that's kind of a suspect thing. Like the underside of a car with brand new undercoat or paint is always kind of suspect to me. Why is this done? Is this to hide rust? Because why is the person going to be spending all this time and money to freshly undercoat a car they're selling? What are they hiding is kind of my first instinct. So if it's been registered in a bunch of different states, or say it's like registered in Texas and then 3 years later it's registered in Michigan but there's no records in between, things like that, you want to kind of watch out for what's called the wash title. You can Google that. I don't want to make this video too long. And you just want to be careful, make sure it's not hidden. Inspect the underside and maybe pull the carpet out in the trunk if it's not too hard. Look for creases, things like that, for accident damage. So there's a lot to it. If you want to ask any questions, go ahead. I'll answer them, even if it's pretty much nothing to do with what I talked about. This channel is to provide car reviews, helpful tips, and just kind of show the automotive stuff I do on a daily basis. There's no like definite like this is a car review channel, this is a car advice channel, this is a whatever channel with cars. There might even be a snowmobile video on here. You never know. So what's going on here? Looks like the garbage truck is driving in the middle of the road picking up trash, and now I'm trying to get to work. So, and if this is your first time stopping in, go ahead, like, subscribe, check out my other videos. There's lots more to come. I'm getting better and better camera equipment and content each day. This summer, once it warms up, I'll be doing a lot of cool stuff that you want to stay tuned for. I'll be doing more used car stuff, more reviews. So go ahead and like and subscribe if you like what you see today. If this isn't your type of video, you don't like this format, check out my other videos. I have a lot of different stuff on here. So just go ahead and check it out, and thank you.